A billionaire whose world was turned upside down the day he walked into a quiet corner of his mansion and saw something he never imagined: his autistic son dancing for the very first time. Welcome to Stories Hub. Make sure you like and subscribe for your top-notch stories. Ethan Walsh was one of the most successful men in New York. The kind of billionaire whose name showed up in Forbes every year. He built his empire from the ground up, and to the world he had everything: the money, the fame, the cars, the private jets. But behind the high gates of his mansion, Ethan's life was far from perfect. His 6-year-old son, Noah, was diagnosed with autism at age 3. Since then, nothing felt the same. Noah barely spoke, avoided eye contact, and spent most of his time sitting silently in corners, rocking back and forth. Therapists, doctors, specialists, Ethan tried them all. Some told him to be patient. Others told him Noah might never fully engage with the world. Ethan hated feeling powerless. He threw money at the problem, hired the best therapists, installed sensory rooms in the house, even flew in experts from Europe. But Noah never changed. Ethan buried himself in work, telling himself it was for his son's future, when in reality he was hiding from the crushing guilt of feeling like he was failing as a father. Then came Rosa. She wasn't like the other maids. Quiet but sharp, she had this calmness about her that filled every room she entered. She didn't just clean, she noticed things. She noticed that Noah liked soft music in the mornings. She noticed that he hated bright lights and would get agitated when too many people were around. She noticed things Ethan, despite all his wealth, had missed. One rainy Tuesday afternoon, Ethan came home early from a tense board meeting. He stepped into the house, loosened his tie, and heard something faint coming from the east wing of the mansion. Music, soft, rhythmic music. Frowning, he followed the sound down the hallway. The closer he got, the more he realized it was coming from the old ballroom, a room no one really used anymore. Ethan pushed the door slightly open and froze. There was Noah. His little hands were in the air, his feet moving clumsily, and Rosa stood in front of him, gently guiding him. "Step, step, turn," she said softly, clapping in rhythm. Noah giggled. Ethan hadn't heard that sound in years. He stood there, hidden in the doorway, heart pounding, trying to make sense of what he was seeing. His son, the boy who refused to look at anyone, was smiling and following instructions. Rosa wasn't just teaching him to dance. She was reaching him in a way no one else had. A rush of emotions hit Ethan at once: relief, anger, confusion. How long had this been going on? Why hadn't anyone told him? And why, for the first time in years, did he feel tears building in his eyes? Before he could step into the room, Rosa noticed him. She froze, startled, and quickly turned down the music. "I'm sorry, Mr. Walsh," she said nervously. What are you doing with my son?" Ethan's voice came out sharper than he intended. Noah immediately stopped moving and backed into the corner. Rosa took a step back, but didn't drop her gaze. "I was just helping him express himself. He likes music. It calms him." Ethan glanced at his son, then back at her. He didn't know what to say. Before we dive in deeply, let us know in the comments what country or which city you're watching this story from. We'd love to know how far this story travels. The ballroom was dead silent, except for the faint hum of the speaker still playing in the background. Ethan's chest rose and fell as he tried to calm himself. He didn't know if he was angry at Rosa, at himself, or at the world. "Turn it off," he said finally, nodding at the speaker. Rosa obeyed, her hands shaking slightly. "Mr. Walsh, I can explain." "Noah, go to your room," Ethan interrupted. His son flinched, but did as he was told, shuffling past Ethan with his head down. Ethan's throat tightened at the sight. He didn't want Noah to be scared of him, but the moment was already broken. When Noah disappeared down the hallway, Ethan turned back to Rosa. "Start talking," he demanded. Rosa took a deep breath. "He responds to music. I noticed it when I was cleaning the kitchen last week. A song came on the radio, and he started swaying. So I tried it again the next day. And the next. He started letting me guide him one step at a time. It's the first time I've seen him happy." Her voice was steady, but her hands twisted nervously in front of her apron. Ethan ran a hand through his hair, pacing the room. The ballroom floor creaked under his expensive leather shoes. "You should have told me," he said finally. "I was going to," Rosa said quietly. "But you're hardly ever home." That stung more than it should have. Ethan stopped pacing, staring at her. "You think I don't care about my son?" "No," Rosa replied softly. "I think you care too much. But sometimes, money isn't what he needs." Her words hit him like a punch. He turned away, clenching his jaw. Ethan wasn't used to being spoken to like that. People didn't challenge him. Not his employees, not even his board members. But this maid, this woman who had only been in his house for a few months, was telling him the truth he'd been avoiding for years. He left the ballroom without another word. That night, Ethan sat in his study long after everyone had gone to bed. His whiskey sat untouched on the desk as he stared at the security camera footage of the ballroom. He rewound it, watching the moment Noah laughed. Then again. It was so small, so fragile, but it was there. The next morning, Ethan was up early. He told the chauffeur to cancel his meetings. When Noah came down for breakfast, Ethan was already sitting at the table, waiting. "Good morning, buddy," he said, forcing a smile. Noah didn't answer. He sat down and started eating his cereal. After a few minutes, Ethan cleared his throat. "Do you like dancing with Rosa?" Noah looked up briefly, then nodded. Something shifted in Ethan. After breakfast, Ethan went looking for Rosa. He found her in the laundry room, folding towels. "I want to see it," he said. She blinked. "See what?" "What you were doing with him yesterday." "The dancing." Rosa hesitated. "He might not do it if he feels pressured." "Then make it like it was before. Just let me watch." Later that afternoon, they met again in the ballroom. Noah stood there nervously, clutching a toy car. Rosa crouched down to his level, speaking softly. "It's okay, Noah. Just like yesterday, remember?" Noah hesitated, then let Rosa take his hand. She played the same soft song from before. Slowly, step by step, he began to follow her lead. Ethan stood in the corner, his heart pounding. Every little movement, every spin, every clap felt like a miracle unfolding before his eyes. For the first time in years, Ethan didn't care about work, money, or meetings. All he cared about was this moment and the strange, overwhelming feeling that maybe, just maybe, he was seeing the first real breakthrough in his son's life. But just as Noah started to laugh again, the ballroom door opened suddenly, and everything stopped. The sudden creak of the ballroom door made everyone freeze. Noah's little hands dropped to his sides, and Rosa quickly turned off the music. It was Ethan's mother, Margaret. "What on earth is going on in here?" she asked, stepping inside with her sharp heels clicking against the polished floor. Margaret Walsh was a woman who commanded every room she entered, stern, elegant, and terrifyingly blunt. Ethan stiffened. "We were just dancing." Margaret raised an eyebrow, glancing from her son to Rosa. "With the maid." Rosa straightened her back, but said nothing. Noah, sensing the tension, backed toward the wall, clutching his toy car so tightly his knuckles turned white. "Mom, it's helping him," Ethan said quickly. Margaret folded her arms. "Helping him do what? Make a fool of himself?" "Ethan, this child needs structure, not whatever this is." Her voice was sharp enough to cut glass. Ethan's temper flared. "You think I don't know what my son needs? I think you're letting a stranger play therapist in your house." Margaret shot back, her tone icy. Rosa stepped forward. "With all due respect, ma'am, he smiles when we do this. He follows directions. He's learning." Margaret turned her cold gaze on Rosa. "And who exactly gave you permission to experiment on my grandson?" "Enough." Ethan's voice echoed through the ballroom, startling even Noah. He rarely shouted, but this time he couldn't hold back. Margaret looked taken aback, but didn't back down. "Ethan, you cannot let this girl make you believe this is progress. He needs professionals, not house staff pretending to know better." Ethan's jaw tightened. Maybe the professionals you keep insisting on weren't the answer. Maybe she's the first person who's actually reaching him. The air was so thick with tension it felt like the walls were closing in. Noah let out a small whimper and covered his ears. That was enough for Rosa. She stepped between them, kneeling in front of Noah and whispering something only he could hear. Slowly, he lowered his hands and leaned into her shoulder. Ethan watched them, his anger softening for just a second. "Mom, I need you to leave," he said quietly but firmly. Margaret's mouth opened in disbelief. "You're choosing her over me?" "I'm choosing my son," Ethan replied. For a long moment, Margaret said nothing. Then, with a sharp turn on her heel, she stormed out, the door slamming shut behind her. The room was silent again, except for the faint sound of Noah breathing against Rosa's shoulder. Ethan rubbed his forehead, the weight of what just happened sinking in. "I'm sorry you had to see that." Rosa stood, holding Noah's hand. "You did what you had to do. He comes first." Ethan nodded, still staring at the closed door. He knew this wasn't over. His mother wouldn't let this go so easily. Later that night, as the rain poured outside, Ethan heard voices coming from the kitchen. He walked quietly and stopped just outside the door. It was Margaret and Rosa. "You don't belong here," Margaret was saying, her voice low but sharp. "My son may think you're helping, but I know what this really is. You're trying to make yourself indispensable." Rosa's voice was calm but firm. "I'm just trying to help Noah. He deserves to be happy." "He needs discipline," Margaret hissed. "Not your pity." Ethan felt his chest tighten as he listened. "Then fire me," Rosa said after a long pause. "But ask yourself if that will help him or hurt him." Ethan stepped into the kitchen just as Margaret turned, startled. "What's going on here?" he asked, his voice cold. Neither woman spoke. The tension was unbearable. Ethan's eyes moved from Rosa to his mother, the air between them charged with tension. "I asked a question," he repeated, his tone sharp. Margaret's face softened just enough to mask her anger. "I was simply explaining that this situation is out of control. Your son needs real intervention, not a maid turning the ballroom into a daycare." Ethan stepped closer, his jaw clenched. "Do you even hear yourself?" "He laughed today, Mom." "Laughed? Do you know how long it's been since I've seen him do that?" Margaret didn't answer. "Exactly," Ethan said. "You didn't see it because you weren't there, and neither was I. But she was." He nodded toward Rosa. Rosa shifted uncomfortably, clearly caught in the middle. Margaret's tone hardened again. "You're letting emotions cloud your judgment. Don't forget who you are, Ethan. You are responsible for this family's name, its reputation. I don't care about the family name right now." Ethan snapped, slamming his hand on the kitchen counter so hard the sound echoed through the house. "I care about my son." Margaret flinched at the outburst, but quickly composed herself. "You'll regret this," she said, her voice icy. Then she grabbed her purse and walked out, her heels clicking furiously against the marble floor. The house fell silent again. Ethan leaned against the counter, his shoulders rising and falling as he tried to calm down. Rosa stood quietly by the doorway, waiting for him to speak. "Thank you for not backing down," he said finally. "I wasn't about to let her scare me," Rosa replied softly. Ethan nodded. "Tomorrow, I want you to keep doing whatever you were doing with Noah. But I want to be there too. Every day, if I have to." That night, Ethan didn't retreat to his office. Instead, he stayed in Noah's room until he fell asleep, sitting in the rocking chair in the corner. Watching his son breathe, watching the way his small fingers clutched his toy car, even in sleep. For the first time in years, Ethan felt like he was doing something right. The next day, he canceled every meeting on his calendar. The staff whispered about it. Ethan Walsh never stayed home during the week. But there he was in casual clothes, sitting cross-legged on the ballroom floor, waiting. When Rosa brought Noah in, Ethan smiled. "Hey, buddy, can I watch you dance again?" Noah hesitated at first, clutching Rosa's hand tightly. But when the music started, his small feet began to move. Ethan watched closely, not just Noah's steps, but the way Rosa guided him. Her patience, her timing, her gentle claps. It was almost like a language, one that Noah understood better than words. By the third song, Ethan surprised himself by clapping along. Rosa gave him an encouraging smile. "Try stepping with him," she said. Ethan hesitated but stood. His polished businessman's image seemed so out of place as he awkwardly mirrored Noah's steps. At first, Noah froze, staring at his father like he didn't recognize him. But then Rosa nodded, and slowly, Noah took another step. Then another. Ethan's throat tightened. He'd been to meetings with heads of state, signed billion-dollar deals, stood on magazine covers. but nothing had ever made him feel this way. For the next few days, the ballroom became their world. Music, movement, laughter, and yes, a few moments of frustration when Noah grew tired or overwhelmed. But every day, Ethan saw progress. Then, on the fourth day, disaster struck. Rosa didn't show up for work. At first, Ethan thought she was just late. But by mid-morning, there was still no sign of her, and she wasn't answering her phone. Ethan felt a knot form in his stomach. Noah was waiting by the ballroom door, holding his toy car, his eyes scanning the hallway as if expecting Rosa to appear any second. "Where's Rosa?" he asked softly, the first full sentence Ethan had heard him speak in months. Ethan's heart dropped. "I don't know, buddy," he said quietly, "but we're going to find out." He grabbed his car keys and told the chauffeur to get the car ready. Ethan's heart raced as the black SUV sped down the driveway. He dialed Rosa's number again, but it went straight to voicemail. Something wasn't right. Rosa was never late, never absent without warning. "Sir, where are we going?" the chauffeur asked as they merged onto the main road. "Her apartment," Ethan said, "and step on it." Minutes later, they pulled up outside a modest brick building in Queens. Ethan barely waited for the car to stop before jumping out. He pounded on Rosa's apartment door, calling her name. No answer. A neighbor poked her head out from across the hall. "Are you looking for Rosa?" "Yes," Ethan said quickly. "Do you know where she is?" "She left in a hurry this morning," the neighbor said, frowning. Looked upset. Some woman came by earlier. Older, fancy-looking. They were arguing. Ethan's stomach dropped. "Margaret." He thanked the neighbor and bolted back to the car. "Home," he told the chauffeur. "Now." When they arrived at the mansion, Ethan stormed through the front doors, calling for his mother. He found her in the sitting room, sipping tea as if nothing had happened. "What did you do?" Ethan demanded, his voice low and dangerous. Margaret didn't even flinch. "I told her the truth, that her services were no longer needed." "You fired her?" Ethan's voice echoed through the room. "She was overstepping," Margaret said calmly. "And you were letting her." Ethan's fists clenched at his sides. "Do you have any idea what you've just done?" Noah was finally making progress. "He spoke today, Mom." He spoke. Margaret's expression faltered for just a second, but she quickly recovered. "He needs real treatment, not some maid's little dance lessons." She was helping him. Ethan roared, slamming his hand against the wall, so hard a picture frame rattled. "And you just took that away from him." Margaret stood, her voice rising now, too. "I'm trying to protect this family, Ethan. From scandal, from gossip." "I don't care about gossip." Ethan's voice cracked with emotion. "I care about my son. And right now, you're hurting him." He didn't wait for her reply. He grabbed his keys again and headed for the door. "Where are you going?" Margaret called after him. "To fix what you just broke." He drove himself this time, his mind racing. He called Rosa again and again until finally she picked up. "Mr. Walsh." Her voice was quiet, strained. "Where are you?" Ethan asked, breathless. There was a pause. "At the park near my apartment." "Stay there. I'm coming." When Ethan arrived, he spotted her sitting on a bench under a tree, staring at the ground. "Rosa," he said, walking quickly toward her. She stood when she saw him, clearly torn between relief and frustration. "You shouldn't be here." "I should have been here a long time ago," Ethan said. "Listen to me. I don't care what my mother said. I need you back. No one needs you back." Rosa hesitated. "I don't want to be the reason your family falls apart." "You're not," Ethan said firmly. "You're the reason it might finally come together." For a long moment, Rosa said nothing. Then she nodded. When they returned to the mansion, Noah was waiting by the ballroom door. His face lit up the second he saw Rosa. She smiled, knelt down, and held out her hands. "Ready." Noah ran to her. Ethan stood by the doorway, watching as the music started. Noah began to move, clumsy at first, then more sure. And then, halfway through the song, something happened that made Ethan's breath catch. Noah looked up at him and said, "Dance, Daddy." For a moment, Ethan couldn't move. His throat tightened, his vision blurred. Then he stepped forward, joining them on the ballroom floor. As he moved clumsily to the music, tears streamed down his face, not from sadness, but from something he hadn't felt in years. Hope. It wasn't just a dance, that it was a promise. That he wouldn't hide behind work anymore. That he wouldn't let fear run his life. That from now on, Noah came first. When the song ended, Noah laughed, a full, loud laugh that filled the room. And Ethan, billionaire, businessman, powerful as ever, dropped to his knees and pulled his son into his arms, unable to hold back his tears. Please like and subscribe for more rich stories like this. Comment below. Also, if you really love this video and want to support the channel directly, you can hit that super thanks button below.